Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Strategy Skills podcast. If you are watching this on iTunes, remember that this is a video episode. And if you like what you see, go to firmsconsulting.com and submit your email to any of the pop-ups we have or any of the opt-ins. It's free, and you'll receive more videos on this and other episodes we release. In today's episode, I want to talk about the goal of every single strategy interaction that you have with a client. So, of course, you have an agenda for every single interaction, whether it's your first executive meeting, your second executive meeting, whether it's your first update with a client, whether you're getting together on a Friday over coffee to talk about progress. You have specific agenda items at that time, and that's fine. But there's something that you are doing overall. So if you had to step back and sort of listed every single meeting you ever had, there is something you should be noticing. And what we're going to talk about is that something you should be noticing, which is a reduction, a winnowing of the options or the things a client can do. I'll give you an example of this. This is from the Corporate Strategy and Transformation Study. It's a big study whereby we help a major power company decide what their corporate strategy should be. It's exciting, it's complex. I took this slide from that big study that is available on strategytraining.com, and it's a live study, so we keep on updating it. Now, what you see here is that every time we do something with a client, we come up with a set of options for them. Because an option is a way for a client to solve their problem, and there's more than one way for a client to solve its problem. It's not as if there's only one answer. There's always more than one answer. If you want to raise revenue, you can do, and if you've got 20 products, you can raise revenue by focusing on one product, or the second product, or the third product, or a combination of products. So you can see there's more than one way to do it. But obviously, there are some options better than other options. So every time we finish a case study, for example, we ask ourselves, of the 20 options that we wanted to analyze for this client, are all 20 valid after we finish the case study and thinking about the insights in that case study? Maybe there is something in that case study that means 5 of the options of the 20 that we were analyzing are no longer valid. So going forward, we'll only analyze 15. Now, if the option cannot be fixed, we discard it. Then we go and do the next case study. We ask ourselves the same question. Of the 15 of the 20 options that are now still valid, can we still work with them, or some of them are now no longer viable because of some insight we got from the case study? And we continue doing that. Every time we do an analysis, we are discarding an option until, by a process of elimination, we arrive at 1 or 2 options that are the best options, and then we present that to the board. So what I want to make clear here is that every time you engage a client, you are really, as a strategy consultant, eliminating options for them and rigorously testing the options that remain. You've got to think of it as almost a pharmaceutical funnel, right? Whereby at the beginning of the funnel, you've got all these options, and each piece of work you do is a filter. You finish the first piece of work, and only some of the options go through the filter. You finish the second piece of work, only some of the options go through the filter. And when you finish all of the analysis, when you get to the end, it's not as if when you get to the final analysis, only then you know which option is most likely. No. Much earlier, you know that, you know what, by the time we get to the middle of this filter, the middle of all of the analysis we have to do, we've eliminated 70% of the options. So we have a pretty good idea of what's going to be the recommended option. But that is the goal of every single interaction you have in strategy. You're always trying to reduce the amount of work you do by eliminating unnecessary analyses, unnecessary options for analysis, unnecessary discussions, unnecessary reviews. Because clients always want you to do more, because they think if they ask you to do more, you're going to be leaving no stone unturned. So society works in such a way that they feel that the more you do, the more you review, the better off they will be, which is not the case. Your job as a strategy consultant is assuming you have structured the problem statement correctly. assuming you've structured the decision trees correctly, assuming you have prioritized them correctly and you've built the right hypotheses, you would then know what analyses you would need to do. And if the client asks you to do something extra and it doesn't help you solve the hypothesis, to solve the original problem statement, then there's no reason for doing it. But you continuously are filtering things. And here you can see that every interaction with a client is a chance to find some way to eliminate an option. Maybe you'll find some information, or the client agrees to remove an option for analysis. Obviously, make sure that an option you remove is an option that should be removed. Don't just remove it because it's less work for you. Because if you're trying to build relationships for the long term and you come up with the wrong recommendation, it's going to come back to bite you. But think about this as sort of the big picture thinking of why you do things that you do as a strategy consultant. And that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed doing the episode. Finally, I want you to remember that the only way to get access to our special offers, the only way to get our special pricing, and the only way to get samples of our content is to join the list on firmsconsulting.com. It's the only way also to get access to our unique advanced content that we make available to insiders. So if you want to get a sneak peek of things, test it out, see what's in there, this is the place to go. And finally, I want to thank you again for making us one of the largest podcast channels around the world for careers and for the 2 million downloads and counting.